Oh man, welcome, y'all. Welcome to the show. I see my co-host here trying to get it together real quick. We'll give him a minute or two to do what he do. Hallelujah. In the meantime, man, welcome to the Rev Da Culture Podcast. This is Pastor V and my brother Larry in the house, of course. We're just excited to be here today, man. I mean, it's a Friday. I don't know where you are today in the world. We're out here in Maryland, they say. Maryland's pretty wet. Winter won't seem to want to go away, man. Come on, we're ready for that summer heat. But look, we're excited to have you on the show today, man. Quite a few things happened. Of course, this is our second episode so far. Last week we covered a lot of things as far as why we do what we do. I'm just encouraging folks to go back and watch last week's episode. You can find it on Renew Life Records _TV. You can also find it on our Facebook page as well. Spread the word. We're here talking culture. We're here talking life. We speak life. Look, you go back to Ezekiel 37, 1-11, man. Come to realize that in a dead situation, life can still be spoken. And so that's why we do what we do. That's why this show even exists, okay? But go ahead and spread the word. I see you watching, man. If you're watching wherever you are, just share this link. Share this show. We're also going to have it available after. Today, I want to dig into some other conversations that are worth having. Obviously, a lot of you that are watching, if you're tapped into the culture, the hip-hop culture, that is, there's a lot of conversation right now about the Kendrick deal and, the Drake and, the J. Cole, all this stuff. And today I want to talk about music because music is such a huge influencer when it comes to culture today. But before we go into all of that again, I want to welcome you all. Like I said, spread the word. Let some folks know, hey, there's something happening, something special. I don't know what time it is on your part of the world, but it's time to lock in on what the Lord is saying in this hour for all of us. Okay, so welcome again. Welcome. Spread the word. My co-host will be joining me very soon. Trying to figure a few things out real quick, man. In the meantime, we're going to hop in real quick. Last week, we started off talking. The theme verse for this podcast is Ezekiel 37, 1-11. And I'm going to go there because I think it's necessary to understand the context of this conversation, and then I'll kind of go into some other thoughts as far as it's concerned today. All right, so again, spread the word, y'all. Spread the word. Let somebody know. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We here again. All right, so let's talk about it. In Ezekiel chapter 37, starting from verse 1, the prophet receives a prophetic word, and he's being encouraged, to speak life, to speak life, to get it together. What's up, Big Larry? I see you trying to get it together, bro. You squinting? You all right? You good? You'll get it in a second. The prophet is being encouraged to speak life to a dead situation, and today we came to do just that. Can you hear me, bro? You good?
Yeah,
trying to adjust. All right, we'll give you time. We know how to get technology can be a little rough. But I'm just kind of recapping what we covered last week as far as the scripture, man. So last week we talked about Ezekiel 37, 1-11, and it says the hand of the Lord was on me. And we said last week, you gotta make sure that wherever you are, the hand of the Lord was guiding you, is leading you. And we're in a time where you can't afford to miss what God is doing. You cannot play the fool and act like you got it figured out. You can't try to act like you know it all. I mean, I sure know that if it had not been for the goodness of the Lord in the land that I live in, I wouldn't be here. And so, the hand of the Lord is required. The hand of the Lord represents the authority of the Lord, the power of the Lord, the drive that the Lord has for your life. And so it's critical that you have his hand, his imprint on your life. And so that's how that starts off with the prophet Ezekiel. It says, the hand of the Lord was on me. He brought me by the Spirit and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. We talked about the fact that now, of course, per context, the dry bones represent the nation of Israel, represents, a people that were disconnected, discontented, not understanding their value that they had in the Lord. And so, it represented the people. I mean, y'all know how it is, man. Look at the news today. It's a lot of dryness in the culture, a lot of dryness in the people. You know what I mean? I mean, just a lot. Anyway, they were full of dry bones, and he led me back and forth among them. And I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. And then he asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. And he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. I'm going to stop right there because, like I said, this entire 11 verses is what we're going to be basing our conversations off of. And the fact is this. The scripture says faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing the word of God. So my question to you is, what are you hearing? What are you listening to? Who's on your playlist? Who do you subscribe to? Larry, you can hear me, right? You good? Who you hearing, bro?
Man, you just sound like you breaking up to me, so I'm having a little difficulty, but I'll get it right. Keep
Yeah,
going.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on, but can you hear me right now?
I can hear you, but it's just choppy.
All right, we'll figure it out. So then the question is, who do you listen to? What are you hearing? You understand what I'm saying? Like, who are you giving your time as far as the equity of your ear is concerned? Who are you giving your ears to? Who are you listening to? Time and time again, there's so many folks out here that have missed the opportunity to hear good news, and they rather listen to their favorite artist. They rather listen to their favorite whoever, you know what I mean? And who you listen to matters, bro. Who you listen to matters. Who you're listening to matters. Who you're giving the energy to, your airways to matter. And again, like I said, there's a lot of artists out there that's speaking all kinds of truth. Your truth, my truth, their truth. Let's talk about the truth when it comes to music. I want to talk a little bit about the power of music here. So let me refer to a few things that I kind of, do some research on real quick. When it comes to music, now, mind you, I've been doing writing, producing music now for 25 plus years. Lyric myself been involved in music for a while. Been doing this for a minute, and I know what music did to me as a young man. I know how music impacted my life, and a lot of the things I got involved in as a teen. A lot of it I can easily say. Now, I'm not making an excuse. I mean, you have control of the decisions you make. I can easily say it was because of a lot of the content that I digested when it came to the artists, when it came to the music. A lot of it I can contribute to the fact that I listen to certain things that influence my mindset and influence my motivation and inspire me to do certain things, right? And a lot of the mistakes I make, it comes down to the come down, bro. Like, it really comes down to what you listen to. Faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing the word in the case of Christianity and what we believe. But a lot of the stuff that you do comes down to what you're hearing, bro. So I'm really concerned when we look at your playlist. What are we hearing? What are you hearing? All right. Well, in case you didn't know, we're talking about culture, and music really plays. I mean, every commercial now is driven by music. And interestingly enough, a lot of the music in the culture is hip hop. It's interesting, right? Hip hop started, over 50 plus years ago, and at one point in time, it was about, it's about a culture and a community of people seeking freedom from certain things and trying to create their own space. But nowadays, it's become so popular that anybody is tuned into hip hop, right? So anyway, let's talk about music. Music, in general, has a powerful influence on the mind, and it can have a wide range of effects, both positive and negative. I don't care who you are. Music will affect you. If you're singing a happy birthday song, you feel the effects of joy. If you're feeling some type of way, you throw in your favorite instrumental, your favorite artist. They have the ability to alter your literally your mood, right? So I want to consider a few of those things real quick before I go into some other thoughts concerning music. And we probably won't be too long today, but this is kind of where this is the springboard for our conversation for the next at least 1 or 2 weeks. First things first, music impacts you emotionally. Music impacts you emotionally, right? It has the ability to like I said a few minutes ago, the ability to evoke a wide range of emotions. I mean, I remember back then, man, time for a football game. I'll never forget, man, I went to, play high school football, and we'll throw in a certain song, and then the entire locker room get tuned into that track, and we'll get so excited. We'll get to jumping around and get the, ready to jump into it. Even some of the stuff we did that wasn't right, we'll have a special song for it. I mean, nowadays it ain't that different. I mean, a lot of young people, They'll play a certain music, they'll play a certain artist, they'll play something that'll provoke them to do something, right? To rise up and go at it. And yeah, music can definitely impact your emotions. Like from joy to happiness, sadness, nostalgia. Different genres of music has different types of triggers. Okay, and it triggers different responses per individual. It's true. It's very true. So knowing that, you got to be mindful of your emotional um, appetites. If I can even say it that way, what you're digesting emotionally. Okay, you wonder why so many people are battling certain things emotionally, whether it's depression, anxiety. Sometimes it's not just situations that you experience, it's what you're intaking, what you're getting into your ear, into the realm of your soul, where your will, your intellect, and your emotions are housed. What you're allowed to come in there can definitely impact how you go about with doing what you do. Okay, so that's definitely something to consider. Secondly, I want you to consider the fact that music can regulate your mood. As I spoke about your emotions earlier, music can regulate your mood. It can help to either improve your mood, okay, or worsen it. Okay, listen to music, whether it's calming music or rowdy music. It can reduce sometimes your stress or increase it, sometimes depression, okay, and the energy levels. It's just something about sound that's critical. God built us in such a way where sound and inspires us. It gets us going, it gets us riled up, it gets us motivated to just go and do a thing, right? And if you don't understand how you're made, what your makeup is, as far as sound, you it's just music, no big deal, man. What are you making a big deal about, man? I mean, it's just music, bro. It's never just music. There is something special about music. There's something intriguing about music. There's something powerful about music that if you don't take time, your mood might just go to the opposite direction. Okay. Number 3, I'm just going through certain things that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I think it's important when it comes to when we talk about this music deal. Number 3, music has an impact on your memory and your cognitive function. It's said that music has been shown to enhance memory and cognitive functions. Now, it's funny how maybe I may not remember somebody's name. I may not remember, something of importance when it comes to an exam, if I'm a student or whatever. But you throw a certain song on, and I promise you, I can remember those lyrics. Obviously, it doesn't need permission to enter into your memory. Okay? Ever hear a song you didn't really like, and then you drive away a few minutes later, and that song is still ringing in your ear, so to speak. It's still in your subconscious, replaying itself. Okay? Music is powerful. It's sound driven. Okay? Certain types of music can improve your focus. It's said by some researchers. Concentration and memory recall. I mentioned it a minute ago. Okay? It definitely can be beneficial for studying or for working. Why? Because again, music alters your mood. It can regulate your emotional impetus rather, all of the things. So it's important to understand that music is not just for entertainment. It can be used for productivity. Very critical. You understand that. Okay. Number 4, there's a physical response to music. Music can elicit physical responses in your body, such as changes in your heart rate, breathing, and even movement. Man, I ain't got to tell you much. When you go to a party and they throw a certain song on, you won't even, you find your feet just moving, your body just, that's what music can do. It can literally provoke you to move and to do certain things. All right, very critical. I never forget, man, when we were younger, there were certain artists we used to listen to. When you throw in a certain song, man, the whole entire party gets rowdy, and there's a lot of rage and all this stuff going on. Prior to that, nobody's moving. You put a certain song, and hey, that's my song, and you get to moving and acting crazy. Yeah, music can do that to you. It definitely can provoke a physical response. Number 5, creativity and inspiration. Music has the power to inspire creativity and imagination. If you ever notice when folks are doing commercials, they're doing ads, they add music to it, not randomly. They want to inspire you. They want to create an atmosphere. And at times, it's critical to understand that many artists and writers find that when they use music, it takes them to another dimension when it comes to creativity. And marketers understand when they add music to whatever that ad is, it causes you to begin to picture and envision yourself with their product. It's not by accident, right? Very, 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 very important. Okay, if you're a creative on this show, you're watching these, and man, I don't know what I want to paint, what I want to draw, right? You throw a beat on, you throw a track on, you throw an artist on, it'll begin to alter certain things in your mind, and those things that may have been causing blockages, you find yourself flowing. Again, I'm just dealing with this at this level. There's some other spiritual realities that we'll probably consider in a second, but I want you to look at it as well. Number 6, the social connection when it comes to music. We're talking about reviving the culture. We're talking about the fact that it's critical out here when we listen to music can bring people together, which is a benefit, right? We want community. We want things to make us connect a little better. It fosters social connections. Okay. Shared musical experiences such as attending concerts, singing together, can create a sense of community and belonging. For me, that's critical, because now I can even understand how God made it in such a way where when we come together as a collective, and I'm speaking from a church perspective, I'm speaking from praise and worship and all the things. There's something that happens when we come together and we sing and we worship together. We open our mouths together. That same energy you take it and you put it in a non-Christian context, and you're still having a worship experience, by the way. Okay, there's something that happens socially when we connect. Everybody's singing the same song, saying the same thing. Maybe I may not be able to sing as well as you, but the fact is we're saying the same words. We're releasing the same sound. Something happens in the atmosphere. Music is a powerful thing, powerful tool, and we need to understand that. We need to consider that, right? Very critical. When you go to certain situations, certain outings, certain social gatherings, you can't just go and just allow yourself to flow with the sound of the culture or what everybody else is singing. You gotta be very careful, very mindful. It's critical. Okay. Now I'll get to some of that in a little bit. Number 7, music can be used for relaxation and stress relief. Listening to calming music can promote relaxation and stress relief. Music therapy, right? It's often used to help reduce anxiety and promote overall well-being. People are using music as medicine in some cases. So it's no joke. I mean, understanding that the music that you have, certain sounds that come, that you have an opportunity to utilize, is critical. That you don't just allow anything to enter into your ears. Okay, listen to something that'll calm you, something that'll get you together. All right, you good to go, bro? You good?
Yeah. I think I'm back. I think I'm good.
Man, this technology got you working today, boy.
Yeah.
I done preached like 3 sermons and a half, but we good.
My bad. I'm back.
You good? You'll just jump right in the water. We flowing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, talking about the power of music. Number 9, motivation and exercise. Now, it's funny you came in at this point, Lyric, because I know you're a fitness coach, fitness instructor. If you can attest to this, upbeat and energetic music can enhance motivation for physical activities and exercise. Kind of share what your thoughts are as far as that, because I know, you're in the gym environment, you know how that looks and things like that. Like, how have you seen music impact exercise and inspire people to want to get the work in?
Yeah, well, music can give you energy. It usually sets the stage, sets the atmosphere in the room. And if your music is too draggy or too slow or not motivating, people can complain about that. Or if it's not the type of music they like, it can cause them to not work out as hard. And on the contrary, if the music is motivating or is the kind of right type of music for you specifically, it can make you push a little harder, work a little harder. It can make you zone out. If you're doing your personal workout, you got the type of music that you love, that gets you excited. It can cause you to push a little harder, work a little harder. So it can definitely have a lot of influence on your mood and your energy, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's critical. I mean, I love the gym. I love to go to the gym, but it's something different when I put on my favorite track or I throw on a beat, and it's just like, man, there's a desire to get it done. And I think the way God built us as humans, the reality is we're 83%. This is good. I never even thought about it. We're 83% fluid. Like, most of our body is fluid, blood and liquid and all the things. And so what came to my mind is the fact that music there are sound waves And as those sound waves are being released through your ears, I can only imagine the water in your body literally responding to the waves, right? To the sound waves that it's hearing, and that tempo, that energy is being released, and I can see how your body gets like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's do it. Now, don't quote me on it. This is something that literally just hit me. Like, I know what it means to throw a rock in the pond, and that thing creates waves. How much more a certain sound hitting your brain, and then that man, it's something deep how God made us, bro. Don't get me started. Get to talking about all kinds of science stuff that I can't even prove. Don't get me lying. But it's powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Number 10. This is the 10th point as far as the impact of music. Healing and therapy. Now, it said that music therapy is a recognized form of therapy that uses music to address physical, emotional, cognitive, and social needs. It can be beneficial for individuals with mental health conditions, developmental disabilities, and chronic illnesses. Can you imagine how powerful music is, bro? That you can take music like you're taking a pill, or like you're getting a shot. Like, it's that powerful. So with all of that, the 10 things I just mentioned being said, I want us to look at the origin of music and just consider some things. Now, we're not claiming to be experts. We're not claiming to know it all, but we do know some things, right? And when we look at the culture, when you talk about reviving the culture and looking at how there's a degradation in the culture, and a lot of it literally came a little bit after I said this, a lot of the things that we did as young people, all of the wilding out we did, a lot of the mess we made, a lot of it was tied to the sound that we were listening to, Back in the day, Onyx threw a song out there called Slam, and we were trying to slam everybody in the party. Like, bro, I'm gonna rough you off, rough it off, the Go-Go Jones. I mean, like, all these different songs, they would give you instructions to do things. And yes, it's entertaining. Yes, it's entertainment. But I wonder what happens when your entertainment becomes your reality, right? And so I can go as far back as, from the Bible's explanation of music. It talks about an angel at the time called Lucifer, he was literally the angel of music. He was a praise and worship leader. The guy was a moving instrument. The man had instruments built inside of him. All kinds of amazing sounds. I mean, that guy would open his mouth and, he will usher up praise, and congregation worship to the Lord. And somewhere in there, he just got it twisted that he was the man. I mean, you start performing long enough and everybody's like, yeah, this dude is nice. Man, he got bars. Oh, yeah, she can sing. After a while, if you're not careful, that stuff will get to your skull. And I think that's what happened to dude. And then, and eventually he lost his position as lead worship leader, lead, musician in heaven. And of course, he took 1/3 of the angels with him because they were just, they were fanboys. They were just following the wrong one. Right. So with that being said, bro, yeah. Go ahead. I mean, what are your thoughts about, just that origin story and how we find ourselves where we are today with music?
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking about Lucifer and his origin and his attachment to music and his knowledge about music and him being a spirit that's been around for so long, how much of a tool could he have used music over time to be effective on people, considering this being corrupted a third of the angelic host to follow him in his rebellion. So can you imagine how much he could be influential on us human beings and use music to his advantage if a human being is open and vulnerable to his schemes and devices from a musical perspective? So that's definitely a thought. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. If you're not careful, man, I mean, you're liable to make the same mistake that the angels made, the fallen angels that we now call demons, because it was music that influenced their decision. It was literally music. And look, there's nothing wrong with us. So let me say this. There's nothing wrong with music. It's a tool. But the way you use a tool is critical. The way you apply it is critical. Now, God created all things. The enemy manipulates all things, for his own purposes. The reality is he wanted to use music for the sole purpose of worship unto him, where God created music for worship unto him, meaning God. All right. So he had an intention, a beautiful idea, and now someone say, well, if he's God, then why didn't God just? No, God gives us free will on how we're going to use the music. I mean, who wants to be in a relationship where you're forced, you're coerced, you're crushed, you're made to do it? Okay, so even the angels then had free will. Now he uses free will for a while. I don't know how long it was, how long he had that job as the chief musician, but at some point, being in that position for a long time, all of a sudden you start feeling like, okay, if they like him, then they can like me. After all, I'm doing the work. I'm the one with the gift. I'm the one with the talent. And he starts saying these eyes. If you read Isaiah 14, I believe in Ezekiel 28, he had this long list of I, and then in the middle of pride is that letter I, and so he fell due to that thought. And so I just wanted to say that before I say some of the other things I'm going to talk about, because again, because it's such a powerful tool. We talked about the fact that it's medicinal at times. It's highly influential. It can alter your mood and give you energy, all these different things. It's such a powerful tool. I can see how now young people in the culture are being influenced by it, right? But what does the Word of God say when it comes to influence and how you're being influenced and how you're allowing yourself to be influenced? Remember last week we talked about the 7 cultural mountains. One of the major cultural mountains is the mountain of media, bruh. People are influenced by sight and sound all the time, whether it's TV, whether it's online radio, whether it's video games. And again, if you notice, all these things I'm talking about, they all have music in there. Video games, you play 2K, there's music in there. You play Madden, there's music in there.
Music.
I mean, it can be found everywhere. It can literally be found everywhere and anywhere. Okay, you go to the mall, they playing something soft and nice for you to walk through there and spend your money. I mean, everywhere there's music.
Everywhere.
It's crazy.
Everywhere.
So here's what I like what Paul says, because when we think about the fact that music doesn't, I did a study years ago, and one of the things the guy said was music does not need permission to enter into the realm of your soul. It does not need, I was saying earlier, you wasn't here. I said you can listen, you can hear the weirdest song playing in somebody else's car, and by the time you drive away, that weird song has entered into your mind, and if you don't shut it off, it'll probably keep playing in your mind for a while, right? Paul says this in Romans chapter 12, verse 2. He says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Now, the world has a pattern. The world has a system. When it comes to music, the world has a way of doing it, right? I mean, if you look at it, if you look at every artist that's anything nowadays, they've all followed the exact same pattern if they're successful. Let's talk about that pattern, bro, before I go into the rest of that verse right there, because I think it's important as we're looking at the culture and how that pattern has led to where we are. I mean, we grew up in the 80s and 90s. Like our teen years were 80s and 90s, and then of course we became adults in the early 2000s. Like, how have you seen that pattern impact a generation? Maybe starting from ours to now.
In ways that it's difficult to put in words. I mean, when we were young, we were being influenced by the music, being influenced by our favorite artists, trying to live the life that we thought was the cool life, the accepted life. And being young, you're not really paying attention to how following that trend is slowly decaying you, slowly diminishing your potential and diminishing and stealing your time and making you make bad decisions because of what you see, what you hear, what you think is right. And for a young mind, it's very dangerous because you're still at the point where you're making decisions based on a limited amount of information due to the fact that you haven't been around that long. And so it's very impactful, especially on the youth, because their mind is not fully yet developed. Our minds wasn't fully developed. And so it caused us to make decisions based on what we thought was right that end up a lot of it being wrong. And it cost us time. It cost us bad decisions and consequences. And it's just a tool I feel like is used specifically for the youth because the youth is tomorrow's future. But at the same time, it's just so influential because you're listening and consuming that thing over and over and over again, and from different angles, be it something visual, be it something audio. You consuming it so often that it literally changes your worldview, which causes you to change your decisions, which causes you to act a certain way that brings consequences. And if you don't catch yourself, and a lot of people don't catch themselves, and they continue living a certain pattern of life, even as you turn into an adult, you're still going through all those bad thoughts and bad influences that you've been putting in your system over time for so long, that even after you do realize that there's some things that need to be different, it's hard to snap out of it. It's hard to make a change. So it's one of those things, and it's a influence that can plague you for a very long time. And if you don't literally find the truth, the way, the life, and the spirit, the Holy Spirit, to help you get out of those patterns, you could be stuck there until you're, gray in the face, children, grandchildren, and you still think that it's cool to, do certain things that you still gonna bear more consequence from. So it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Bruh. That dude said gray. Man, the gray is coming. We ain't running. The gray is coming, bruh. And I mean, the reality is, you don't realize how timeless music is. Stuff that we listen to, like, to hear youngins, oh my God, Michael Jackson. Man, Michael Jackson was around before some of us got here. We met the dude here. We got old and he was still hitting numbers, right?
And his music still rocking.
And his music is still rocking beyond today. So there's a pattern. There's a set pattern. There's a way of doing things. There's a way that the world has orchestrated this thing where if you're not careful, the mistakes that we made in our past, you will follow that exact same pattern, fall victim to the exact same things, miss the whole point, and then your kids will probably do the same thing, right? Because it's a pattern. It's a way. They call it a groove back then on the vinyl, because they will put the needle in the LP, in the little 45s, and that thing, as it spins, it's putting a groove in that vinyl. And so I'm just grooving. No, that thing is creating a pattern that every time that needle hits, it's going to know exactly where to go. And so imagine that being your mind. You're constantly renewing your mind in a negative way, and that pattern is, and you follow. I don't know why I just can't get over this emotion. I don't know why I can't just stop doing the drugs. I don't know why I can't just stop having the sex outside of marriage. I don't know, bro. You're in the pattern, and the world has a needle in a groove. It's a real thing. So don't fall victim, okay? And I think Paul is saying to the church in Rome, then he said, look, don't be conformed, which means don't try to fit in. Don't try to squeeze yourself into the culture's way of doing it. Don't be conformed. Don't, people trying to, well, it's just music. Why are you making it a big deal? Bro, every time you try to force yourself into something, you take on the mode of that thing. Okay? Don't be conformed to the pattern of the culture. Don't be conformed to the groove. Don't be conformed to the mode, because it's going somewhere. No industry just gets into creating a product for the sake of creating that product. There's an outcome that somebody, look, whoever created the microphone, they created it for a purpose. Whoever created the car, they created it for a purpose. I mean, every industry creates a product for a purpose, and they'll invest millions of dollars to make sure that product gets to where it needs to go. I want you to think about it. So, go ahead.
Not cutting you off, but I think that the most dangerous part about it all is the fact that human beings are on a timeline. And so as we get caught into these patterns, and as we get caught into this way of life or this influence, what we're not understanding is, by the time you snap out of it, you probably missed half of your life. Some people don't snap out of it until their whole life is gone. Some people end up getting into the internal part of life, the spiritual part of life, before they realized that they went too far in that groove. And so that's the most dangerous part about it. And I think that it's systematically set up. So once you get hooked on to the pattern, the groove of the world, be it music, entertainment, media, whatever, by the time you get addicted to these systems that's around you, by the time you snap out of it and try to get yourself to function in a way that could be fulfilling to your body, your mind, and giving you good results, sometimes you run out of time. Sometimes it's too late, or sometimes by the time you catch on to it, you're so old and you don't even have the energy anymore to do anything, which I think is why the youth is the number one target of this whole system, whole ordeal. Go ahead.
That's good. That's good. I mean, you locked in right to where I wanted to go, because the truth is, the target audience is the next generation. They're not worried about you and me. We're old goods. We're damaged goods.
They got us a long time ago.
Yeah. If you ain't get out by now, bro, you ain't getting out. I mean, that's bottom line. Yeah. So their goal. I went to a radio station about a year ago, and something one of the managers said to me was so powerful. He said, "Look, everything we're doing now is for the next 10 years. We're not thinking about today. Everything. So we're completely revamping our radio station to focus on the next 10 to 20 years max, right? The goal is they're trying to future-proof their product so that they can keep their audience locked in. And I'm saying to you, the pattern is the same, but the methodology and the way they're approaching it, they're tweaking it to fit your comfort zone, what you like. They're studying you, okay? They're collecting data on, okay, so this is what they like. Okay, let's give them more what they like. So let's pay this artist to write a song a certain way. Let's pay this producer to produce a track a certain way. Like, it's called trap music because they want to entrap you, period. Okay? Young black men out here locked up, for common, dying for common. Young black ladies out here, doing all kind of stuff with their body, and not forgetting my Caucasian youngins out there as well. I mean, the generations are being impacted by the music. Okay?
Yes, sir.
It's strategic. It's very strategic. So if you don't understand the pattern, you will miss the point, and then you introduce yourself to the pain. And I think that's critical. Okay. So what's the solution then? I mean, we ain't just come here to talk about the problem. What's the solution? Because music is such a powerful tool. And one of the things that Paul says is, don't be conformed to the pattern, but be transformed, again, by the renewing of your mind. So the entire time the man is talking about your mind, he said, don't conform your mind to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So how do you renew your mind? Okay. I said it earlier. I said faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. What are you listening to? Man, you can't tell me nothing, because I grew up to hip hop. I mean, when hip hop was born, then I was right after literally. I'm a junkie to the culture sound. I love the genre of hip hop. I love wordplay. I love beats, all of those stuff. I still listen to it. Oh, Pastor V, yeah, I do. We still listen to it, but I listen to it from a different perspective. Thank God for all the CHH rappers out there, man. All of the brothers and sisters out there who's writing clean, wholesome music. I can shout out a few, man. The God Over Money Squad, shout out to them. Hog Mob, shout out to them dudes. You know what I mean? Just, there's a plethora of brothers and sisters out there that's just doing it for real. Shout out to my boy Live out there in Baltimore as well. You know what I mean? Just a whole rack of, dope artists out there. You can find it. Go on YouTube. You can find them. Look at these brothers, man. Just search CHH. Shout out to my man Preacher Man at LIB, who's doing it big. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just you can renew your mind by what you're listening to. Okay. Yeah. I write music, write music. I mean, I found myself maybe 18 years ago. I did my first gospel mixtape. Got saved, really saved, and got on fire for the things of the Lord. In 3 months, I wrote a 20-song mixtape. Excited by the message of the gospel. There's some good, clean, wholesome music out there. You don't have to compromise. I think one of the struggles I've seen with a lot of young people is, I love Jesus, bruh, but like, I still love whoever your artist is. I ain't gonna call no names because there's a lot of them out there. How do you deal with that, Lyric? How would you encourage somebody to to renew their mind when it comes to the music?
Stuck in the groove. I would say this, man. We first have to realize, before we even get to music, just think about yourself as a human being, as a person, and realize that you were created by the Creator to glorify Him. And so all things that you do must start with glorifying Him first as a thought process. Before you act, before you listen, before you groove, everything you do has to start with your thoughts have to be set on, is what I'm doing, is it glorifying God? Is it bringing God glory? Is this something God's pleased with? Or is it just something I'm doing just for me and I'm pleased with? I think that's a good start. And then after that, you can start to get yourself centered around things that glorify God, including what you're putting in your body. Just like you are what you eat, you are what you listen to. The mind controls the body. We say there's a lot in the fitness realm in terms of fitness and sports and everything. Is if your mind is set on something, if you have a strong mind, a determined mind, the body follows. The mind is what leads you to do everything. You literally have to think about everything before you can make an action. Your mind is the first thing that tells the body to move. And so we have to have a mindset of, the things that God is pleased with. I think that's the first step. And then you start renewing your mind with the things of God, be it reading His Word, listening to music that reminds you about Him, listening to how His perspective is in terms of the world and how the world should function. And I find that the more that I renew my mind with God, the things of God, be it music, hip hop, or any type of kind of music, but something that's centered around Him, something that I know is glorifying Him, it changes how I think of things. It changes how I react to things. It changes how I'm able to deal with other people. And because of that change, it causes me not to get caught up in the jam, not to be stuck in a groove, and keeping myself away from the consequences of those mistakes. And I think that's key. I think that just realizing that He is, and that you were created for Him and to glorify Him, is the start. And understand there's a system designed to take your mind, the exact thing that I just described, that controls the body and controls every action. These world systems, music included, is designed to keep you away from Him. And so you can so your thoughts are no longer centered around what God thinks, what God says, how God feels about whatever I'm doing or how I'm thinking. And it just steers you to being yourself. It steers you to pleasing yourself. It steers you to doing what you enjoy. And I think over the generation, we are at the point now where everybody has forgotten about God and what He stands for. And I think that's the major problem. And so even in listening to hip-hop, if hip-hop is your thing, you can listen to music that is glorifying God within the culture, within hip-hop. And like V was saying, Pastor V, excuse me, he was saying that, there's a lot of artists out there that you can listen to that still banging to nice beats and spitting bars and doing all these things that we love, but yet it still is glorifying God, and it's still reminding us about Him and reminding us about what He has done for us, and that's leading us to life and taking us out of the life of death, so to speak.
Yeah. That's couldn't have said any better than that, bro. I mean, the honest truth is, a lot of folks think that once you become saved, you just become corny. You just,
well, I never had that bone in my body, bro.
Right. I mean, God is, first of all, I told you earlier, the enemy is a manipulator. God is a true creator. So you'll find that, one of my favorite stories is the story of Moses when he goes back to Egypt. He goes back to the culture that he came from, right? But he goes back a new man, full of power, full of authority from the Lord. And he's standing before Pharaoh, and his magicians, Jannes and Jambres, the Bible says. And so Moses cast down his rod. They cast down. They're like, these dudes could do stuff too now. Don't think the kingdom of darkness don't they get it in. So, Moses cast down his staff. They cast down theirs. The only difference is Moses has divine power and they have, something else. And long story short, his staff was able to consume theirs. So the point is, God is a creative God. God has given inspiration to many that have been able to stand the test of times, where people who are just dependent on themselves, dependent on whatever other alternative means to get creative, it doesn't last as long. For me, I don't want to just listen to music that's going to be temporal. I don't want to create stuff that's going to be temporal. Whatever I do needs to go beyond me. It should go from generation to generation into eternity. I think that's the part that's critical. I think you said it well. The fact is, we have to give an account for every word we speak. So, it's just music. So I can say, you can't just say anything, bro. You're going to be held accountable for every reckless word you've spoken. And so for me, it's, as a Christian artist, as a producer out there, your mindset should be, man, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to make this happen, it has to elevate God. It has to lift up the name of Jesus specifically. It has to be about life and not death. Because we talking about speaking life anyway, right?
Right.
All right. So here's the last few minutes before we wrap up the show, man. Listen, we're going to continue this conversation for the next week or two because it's so important. I don't want us to just rush out of here. Oh, we talked about music, now let's talk about something else. Because a lot of young folks out here are struggling because of the stuff that they're listening to. So if you're watching this, man, if you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a brother, you're a sister, you're watching this, and you thought, hey, man, this stuff is really good. I need to share it with somebody. The link is going to be available. Share it with somebody. Anyway, Paul goes on to say that he goes on to wrap it up saying, he said, after you've renewed your mind, then you will be able to test or discover or understand and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Earlier, I talked about the fact that there are in some cases where when we come together to celebrate or to sing together or in the context of church, praise and worship, I found, especially in the last couple of weeks, bro, like when we come together to worship, God's will gets revealed at such a degree that I've never seen all my years of being quote unquote in church. Okay. I really believe that as you're singing, this thing works both ways. If it's true on the side of the things of God, it's true on the side of the things of the devil. You can really begin to see the manifestation of spirits, the spirit realm through music. One of my youngest said, bro, one of my youngest said, man, I ain't never had an experience with God like this before. This is what we begin to tap into some stuff. You're kidding me. You don't think, look at Astro World a couple of years ago with your boy, you know what I mean? Well, somebody said, as the dude was performing or AKA worshiping, they felt a presence pulling them to the stage. 50,000 people in a small little area, bro. People got trampled on. People got killed. People got injured. You think this stuff is just physical? Music is spiritual. And so in many cases, if you want to experience God in a tangible way, through music, through worship, through praise, you can be able to say, oh, this is good. This is the will of God. This is something that God is in. And you begin to discover that, oh, I don't just believe some stuff that somebody cooked up and threw at me. Like, I'm really having an encounter with God. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, like you said, you have an encounter. Music is very spiritual. And so you able to have an encounter both ways. And so this is why when we were young, listening to music, just consuming this stuff and thinking that it was just music, that's just what he said or she said or that artist said, and we just thought it was the cool thing to do. We started manifesting physical things by what we were putting into our minds, into our brains. And those physical things we started doing, aka sin, had consequences attached to them. And as we started experiencing those consequences, it determined the direction that life went to a certain point in time. On the contrary, when we start putting in good things, and the things of God, the things of love, the things of caring and concern and being attentive to family and even friends, people that matter, we start getting good benefits. Good things started coming out after having good thoughts and manifesting good things. And it's just what it is. It's very spiritual. There's definitely two sides of spirituality. And whatever you're focusing on, aka planting a seed in whatever soil, that's what you're going to reap. That's what you grow. That's what end up manifesting in your life. Manifesting is a big thing nowadays. Everybody talking about manifest, but literally in the spiritual realm, you're reaping what you sow based upon your actions. And so you have to be careful on what you focus on, because if you focus on, like I said earlier, the things that pleases God and the things that are good and good for your mind and good for your spirit, which spits out good things, good deeds, versus focusing on negativity and how you can make money fast, or how you can, be with as many girl or boy, depending on, what it is that you into. Those things, it just reaps destruction of your body, of your mind. And then as you're hurt people end up hurting other people. Hurt people.
Yeah.
You spreading that hurt in the earth for other people. You're not helping people. You're not being a positive person. And it just ends up being a negative thing and ending you in negative circumstances. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
Wow. No, that's good. That's real good. The reality is, what you plant is bound to grow. Just keep watering that stuff, You say, again, it's just music. It's no big deal. You keep feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding your mind with that, whatever that is, okay? Eventually, you begin to manifest. And I love the fact you said that word manifest, because that used to be one of my rap names back in the day, the Manifester. You're here manifesting demons, bro. What you talking about? Back then, acting a fool, talking about, you know what I mean? But not realizing that it's true. I mean, whatever you listen to eventually becomes you. Again, that's why the scripture says faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. So I can take the word of God and put it to a song and keep hearing and hearing and hearing. And then all of a sudden now I can see differences in my decisions, in my actions, in my ideas. It impacts my character, all of the things. So you just thought music.
I was gonna say also the ones you love can hear it as well.
Yeah.
So you can write something that's positive, and you can hear it, and it can fill you up and bring forth good things. And you can also pass down to your children. And you can also let your friends hear it and your cousins hear it. And you don't have to hide when your mama come in the room. You don't have to turn it down. She can hear it. And it all brings forth positive things. So it's just something it's for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just part one of this conversation, man. This is episode 2, but we talking about the media mountain. We're talking about the music, entertainment. We're talking about that music business and how it impacts culture. Again, we're going to probably more likely run this back next week as well. And if we need to, the week after that, because I think it's just so important. I might even have a special guest coming here. You just never know. Things can happen. Anything can happen on Rev Da Culture. So don't be,
yes, sir.
Don't be surprised. They can go there anyway. But I think it's critical that you spread the word, tell a friend about what's happening here, what we're doing. It's such a powerful time to be connected to the things of God. It's important that we stay focused on the things of God. And remember, you're here to impact culture. You're here to make a difference while you're here, while you have an opportunity. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your talent. Don't waste your treasure. Do it for the kingdom before it's too late. All right? Like we always say, man, a relationship with Jesus, it's everything. So you don't want to leave here without one. All right? Hit me up on the DM. Let me know. You need prayer? We can do it. You need your hands laid on? Come on to 16227 Bachelor Forest Road. We'll pray for you. We got prayer happening tonight right here on our campus, 7:30 p.m. All right? Well, we love you. God bless you, man. We're going to see y'all next week. Same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
God
We're gonna make it
bless.
do what
God
it do,
bless.
man. Rev Da Culture. All right.
In Jesus.